Aloha and welcome back to the Kupuna Connections television program. I'm Cullen Hayashida, the host for this show, and brought to you by St. Francis Healthcare System of Hawaii. Today we have a very important topic to talk about, having to do with active aging. Active aging is an issue that tries to address our bonus years, years of the 20 to 30 additional years after retirement, let's say. So our topic is active aging related to senior companion and foster grandparent volunteer programs in Hawaii. And today we have two guests that I'll ask both of them to introduce themselves. Starting off with Ann here.
Oh, thank you. I'm Ann Holton, and I'm the program director with the Senior Companion Program based in the Department of Human Services.
And I'm Suzanne Hull, program director for Foster Grandparent Program, also under the Department of Human Services.
Okay. So we have two long-standing volunteer programs, both of which have been sponsored or initiated at the federal level, Senior Companion Program and the Foster Grandparent Volunteer Program. And, you know, I guess I wanted to first start out by talking a little bit about volunteering, just volunteering in general, giving back to others, giving back to the community. And, you know, oftentimes we hear that you know, one of the major challenges of older adults, you know, following retirement is not necessarily long-term care per se in terms of getting sick, but oftentimes we have a lot of people that are lonely, that are bored, they're depressed, and maybe volunteering can somehow address some of this. What can you say to that effect?
Yeah, definitely. Volunteering is a wonderful option to give back to the community. It also contributes to the wellness of the volunteer themselves. I know Suzanne and I have worked together now for almost 2 years. And we see the benefits of volunteerism and active engagement in the community. Most of the people that volunteer for our program are already engaged in the community, but it offers them an opportunity then to not only give back to the community, but also contribute to their own wellness and their own physical activity, keeping engaged, the sense of belonging, the physical activity that they engage in while simply getting to their clients' homes, keeps them active and mobile, gives them a reason to get up every morning, get dressed, and move out into the community beyond.
Yeah, not stay in pajamas all day long, right?
Right. And it keeps them, I mean, they're always active anyway. They like to be out and about. So it gives them a reason to get up, get dressed, and go out into the community and help other lonely, isolated seniors to keep them active and engaged in the community also.
Yeah, I like the point that it's an activity in a sense. So you have to get on the bus, for example, drive your car, and so all of this is eye-hand coordination. It's using your mind. It's using your muscles and everything.
Correct.
So it's all health related. Yeah.
And our federal sponsor has done numerous studies on the effect of volunteering for seniors. And they find that senior volunteers have good mental health, they have good heart health because they're giving back, they're helping others. So that in turn makes them feel wonderful.
Yes, yeah.
So they stay healthy and they feel good.
Yes.
So.
Oh, okay. How about for the receivers of care? Recipients of care, are they somehow blessed or somehow affected by this?
Yeah, for the Senior Companion Program, all of our clients are 55 and older. And for one reason or another, either by social isolation, because they're no longer able to get out anymore, or perhaps they can no longer drive, or maybe can't leave the home without some sort of assistance, and whether it be real or just the emotional support that they need to get out of the homes. A lot of times it involves just walking the neighborhood, taking the bus, riding handy van, And a few of our volunteers on Oahu still drive. Most of our volunteers on the neighbor islands, on the Maui and the Big Island, drive still. But on Oahu, most of our volunteers rely on the bus to get them to their homes. So
Okay.
it's definitely of benefit to the what we call the client, because it gives them also, they wait every morning when they know the senior companion is coming.
It's coming. Yes, yes,
And they,
yes.
they kind of plan their day, they know what they're going to be doing, they know where they need to go. And so they kind of have an agenda for each visit. So whether it be a simple meal prep or going out for a walk in the neighborhood or getting to their doctors or just doing simple shopping errands. Those
Okay.
are real typical types of activities that they'll do together.
Fantastic.
Both of our programs, because we are sister programs, and Susanna and I can kind of do this together, is that under the Corporation for National Community Service, which is the federal arm, it's under Senior Corps, so they earn a non-taxable stipend. So if they meet the income eligibility, which is at present $27,100 or less per year, they do qualify for a non-taxable stipend. So it doesn't impact any of their benefits. They can continue to receive any other benefits that they might be receiving.
Now, what happens if someone makes much more than that? Are they disallowed from being a volunteer?
They may not earn the stipend, but we would consider a non-stipended volunteer.
I see. Okay. Okay.
We also pay a small meal allowance. If they serve for 3 hours or more in a day, they will receive a small meal allowance. They also get a travel reimbursement, whether it be a bus pass, or we also reimburse for mileage.
Okay.
We also are providing annual physicals. We provide leave time based on the number of hours that they serve. And we also, I think it gives them benefits that you can't really enumerate, so to say, and because it gives them a sense of well-being, of contributing, which is hard to really measure sometimes. But they all feel this real sense of value, of making a significant difference. Because for a lot of our clients, the senior companion that comes to visit them may be the only person they have a chance to talk to for that whole day, and sometimes for that whole week, because they're either aging in isolation of family. It's kind of related to what you were talking about earlier about elders who are aging alone, that they don't have in isolation of friends and family.
Right. Oh, okay. So these are like intrinsic rewards, personal
Right.
rewards that people could get, not necessarily monetary or anything in that respect.
The stipend's almost incidental
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
volunteerism, and you probably find that in the foster grandparent program.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, we had another slide here having to do with eligibility.
Right.
Can you share some things about that, Suzanne?
Sure. So all of our volunteers have to be age 55 and older, but we like to say better.
Yeah, that's
Older, 55 or better.
Right.
Okay.
And then once again, the income requirement is that they need to make less than $27,100 if they're an individual. For a couple, it's $36,660, and then the scale continues to go up. Like if you're a family of 3 or 4.
Couples, meaning that both would be volunteering?
No, like if they have a husband or a wife.
I see.
Right. Of course, we hope that all of our applicants are physically and mentally healthy, especially because they have to get themselves around.
Right.
Willing to accept supervision, because especially in the case of the foster grandparent program, the volunteers are going to be in the classroom with a teacher.
I see.
So the teacher is going to direct them
Right.
on what they need to do. So their willingness to accept that type of supervision. And then there is a minimum requirement of hours per week, which is 15.
15
Yeah.
hours a week. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So this applies to both programs,
Correct.
and we'll get more information about both programs as well.
Right.
So let's start off with the Senior Companion Program. Now we talked about eligibility, we talked about stipends. Share a bit about work assignments, or what kind of things are we talking about that they do?
We partner with different agencies in the community who work with seniors who are living in their own home and sometimes aging in isolation of family and friends. So a typical care plan, because each client must have a care plan specific to their needs. So we have demographic information about who they are, their age, and their living arrangement, and maybe a little bit of medical background if it's pertinent to the intervention that the companion might be doing while they're at the home. And they have specific duties, and the typical care plan would be inclusive of things like meal preparation, medication reminders. Now, we're not nurses. And
so you don't give the medicine, you don't feed them.
Right. We don't administer the medication, but we can offer reminders. So we cannot touch the vials in any way, but we can remind them it's lunchtime, don't forget your medication before we start lunch.
Right.
We also accompany them on errands, whether it be grocery shopping or just to go holo holo, because a lot of these people don't get out very often. Or
how about house cleaning?
Simple straightening. We're not a chore service either, so we don't do heavy cleaning. And when we say simple cleaning would be if they prepared a meal, be straightening the kitchen. Helping them possibly together, they could do a load or two of laundry. But it's not a chore service, so it's really important that the clients understand that we're not going to be in there cleaning windows and doing heavy laundry for the entire household. So everything that we do in the care plan is specific to that client. So even if he or she might live with other family members, it's so easy to think, well, there's 10 towels in there, and we know clearly it may not be all the clients, but we're not there to service the family or the household per se, but the needs of the client, him or herself.
I see. So now, let's say she says, you know, one of my light bulbs broken. Can you help me replace that or change it? I have. What do you do in situations like that?
You know, if it's something that's doable, if it's a low stool, perhaps, but we always caution our volunteers that if it's anything that puts you at risk, please be careful. We always work with a case manager with our partner organizations or providers. And so if it is something beyond the scope of the program, we don't want to jeopardize the safety of our volunteers by doing windows or by changing light bulbs or doing any kind of construction or reconstruction work in it.
Do you have someone else come in?
So what we encourage our volunteers to do is to get in contact immediately with their case manager at the referring agency, because perhaps there are other needs in maintaining a home or an apartment that need attending to, that fall beyond the scope of a senior companion. Because our volunteers are also 55 and younger, I should say, well, we use that term loosely, but that we don't want to put their health and well-being at risk also. So we always partner with the provider agency.
Okay. Well, we had a couple of slides here with reference to the Senior Companion Program.
We have a group shot of all of our volunteers during the holidays. We had a big we have a monthly mandatory training, and the picture that we brought to share was actually at our December meeting. So you can tell that some of the people are dressed festively because it was a holiday party. And it was just an opportunity for them to have a group shot.
Okay.
I also brought 2 photos of 2 of our companions servicing their actual clients. Both of whom suffer from some visual loss, and one of whom takes the bus, the other, who still drives, does take her client, who you can clearly see in the photo, it does have visual impairment because he is using a white walking stick.
I see.
And so he uses the cane to get about, so she is able to drive him. He likes to run errands, get to the doctors, just go out. And you can well imagine being visually impaired. It has its challenges.
Absolutely.
To even move about the house, and for the other woman to maintain current on her correspondence and her bill payment and calling agencies.
Right.
So that's typical of what a companion might do.
I see. Okay. So now let's switch over to the foster grandparent program. What is that all about?
Well, the beauty of our program is that it's intergenerational. So you have seniors that are working with younger children, right?
Okay.
So we have, in fact, we just renewed our MOU with the Department of Education, and we also have some of our volunteers in Head Start programs and also in preschool programs. But all of our partnering agencies have to be nonprofit.
Okay.
So Depending.
How
go
about
ahead.
a not unprofitable for-profit? I guess that doesn't count.
Yeah, both of our programs require that they either be government or nonprofit.
I see. Okay.
So typically, we find out from the volunteer what age group do they want to work with, right? If they want to work with preschool kids, then we work on placing them in a preschool program. So they are hands-on in that classroom. Whatever activities are going on throughout the day, they're right there working with the kids. Now we do ask the teacher to select maybe 3 to 5 kids that the volunteer is going to work with every day. And so like Anne has her care plan, we have what we call a progress report. So on the progress report, the teacher is going to tell us where the student is at the beginning of the year, and she's going to identify some of the areas where the student needs to strengthen in terms of skill and just their overall participation in the class. And then at the end of the year, we ask the teacher to tell us, did the child make progress as a result of being supported and helped by the volunteer? And that helps us to report back to the federal government on the impact of our volunteers. So typically a volunteer can read to the kids, to the children, or they can listen to the child read to them. Any type of project or assignment, be it an art project or a math assignment, they can be right there with the child, with the student, supporting them, not giving them the answers, not doing the craft work, but just kind of guiding them and encouraging them.
So these are usually preschools?
It could be preschool, elementary school, it can be high school.
High school too?
High school. We have one of our male volunteers who is at Waipahu High School I'm thinking, anyway, all of the students in this classroom are completely handicapped,
I
right?
see.
So he is in there and he is offering support to the teacher throughout the day as these students go out through their activities. We have another male volunteer also at Waipahu High School that's in a little higher level class. So he once again interacts with the students, follows what's going on in the classroom, does his one-on-one support with the students. And then oftentimes what you see too is that other kids or other students see that interaction and they want to be with the grandma or the grandpa. You know, so they'll come up to our volunteer and say, oh, can you help me with this? Or can you read to me on this? Can we work together on this? And if the grandma or grandpa has free time and they're not working with anybody, they can do that as well.
So these foster grandparents are coming in at least 15 hours a week?
Correct. So they could decide to do 3 consecutive days or every other day. Most of them do, I would say, 25 to 30 to 35 hours a week.
So they come in first thing in the morning
Correct.
pretty much then, huh?
Correct. So they will start at 7 or 7:30, depending on what time the teacher gets there. And they're typically there till about 2 or 2:30. I think Head Start programs get out a little bit earlier,
Okay.
but they can stay after as well.
Usually are they close by to where they normally live?
Definitely. That is a goal for us, is to place our volunteers as close to where they live because we want to minimize their travel time,
Right.
just their travel period.
Right, right.
And the good thing is that there are DOE schools in every community. Same is the case for Head Start.
Yeah.
So-
Now in preschools, oftentimes you've got clusters, classroom, and they may have more than 5 preschoolers together in one group. So
Well-
what happens in situations like that?
Well, we want them to work one-on-one
I see.
with the kids. Yeah, they're really not there to teach a group of kids or a group of students. Yeah. So through that one-on-one interaction, hopefully the student feels that additional support,
I see. I
right?
see.
That additional value and encouragement that our volunteer can give them.
I see. And so you try to limit that to about 5.
Right.
5
Right.
at
3 to
most.
5.
3 to 5.
Right.
And are these usually preschoolers, for example, that have a little bit more challenges? Or?
Possibly. Or they might just want more attention. You know, some kids are like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
They might
yeah.
not necessarily have any challenges. They just love that one-on-one time.
Right, right.
And there's something about a grandparent
Uh-huh.
being there, you know, that's safe, that is somebody that they want to be with and interact with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the teacher's there, she's doing her job, but she's also the rule enforcer, right? I mean, we're not saying that our volunteers are not going to enforce the rules, but they're more there to have this relationship with the kids, yeah, to be a support to them, an encouragement to them, a mentor to them, yes.
Now, that relationship, does that stay for, continue on for a year, and then you switch to another child, or how
Right.
does that normally work?
So it goes through school year by school year. If we find that a volunteer is particularly bonded, or that student is showing some really good progress as a result of working with our volunteer, then we can have that volunteer follow that child, just so long it's okay with the teacher. Yeah, but then typically as the next school year starts, whatever grade level that they're at, a new group of kids come in, and then we start all over again.
I see, I see.
Yeah.
So usually it's for periods of about a year.
Correct.
And then you, and so I guess some of the, your volunteers sort of gravitate to young people, and others gravitate to working with other seniors?
Correct. Or no, it's all of our volunteers work with students or school
Well,
age.
no, I'm talking about,
Oh,
say,
between
senior
our programs.
companion versus, you know, how do people select one or the other?
It's their preference.
Right,
It's their
right. And
preference.
so we're not in competition necessarily,
Right.
although our target recruitment group is from the same pool, 55 and older, limited income, wanting civic engagement. But, you know, people come to us with kind of knowing in their heart that I always loved working with kids, or I was a teacher in my career, or I love being with my grandkids, so that's something I feel the most comfortable with. And then you've got other people who say, well, I did that before, now I want to try working with seniors, or I see the need to support seniors in the community. So they kind of come to us, and sometimes they'll talk to both programs to kind of feel it out as to what our focus differences are, and then make that decision, because it's not something we can force someone to do.
Right,
And
right,
we feel that it would be best if they make the choice
right, right.
rather than us assigning. So we offer them up both programs.
I see.
And then we feel that if their heart is in it, they'll do better in it.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So, with the foster grandparent program, are most of your volunteers with children and that preschoolers, or are they mostly in elementary school where they're helping out, or where are they?
I would say mostly with the elementary schools. Yeah. And then I would say preschool being next, and then like the intermediate and high school being where, you know, the least of our volunteers are serving.
I guess you'd have to have some pretty skilled and talented people for the high schoolers, huh?
Yeah.
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 I mean, because
It does
high
come with
schoolers,
challenges
they would
sometimes.
challenge you, yeah, in
True.
terms of your knowledge,
True.
whatever, yeah. But to be able to do that,
Right.
I think people would still appreciate that a lot,
Right.
yeah.
And there's something to be said about intergenerational, because a lot of our kids, I would imagine, in schools, maybe they don't have an opportunity to interact with an older person.
Older person,
Maybe
yeah.
grandparents are not on the island.
Absolutely.
And so it's an opportunity to interact cross generations,
Yeah, yeah.
which I think is important.
Yeah, and to talk, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of times we hear of family get-togethers, even in Hawaii, of course, you get the families, you know, multi-generational get-togethers, but the kids are there playing with their, right, iPhones or whatever, iPads, and then so the older people are sitting by themselves and the young people sitting by themselves, not too much interaction. Does this kind of program sort of create that opportunity for communication, yeah, and
Right.
learning, yeah,
Exactly.
from each other?
Right. We have a volunteer out in Waimanalo who was directed to work with these group of kids that were really struggling. You know, they just weren't motivated really with school, and this volunteer, you know, really put her heart in working with these kids. She had lunch with them every day, you know, begin to establish rapport with them. She even went beyond you know, and introduce like Boy Scouts and other activities outside of school just to keep these kids interested and motivated and learning.
Yeah.
And she really, to this day, you know, those kids seek her out and always greet her and hug her. And even the parents, you know, she was able to establish relationships with the parents, and they have so much regard, you know, for this volunteer. So it can go beyond the classroom.
Yeah.
And I think that's natural as relationships start to form,
Yeah.
right? And you get to know one another, just so long it's okay with everyone involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't force
Yeah.
our grandparents to do that, but
You find your volunteers extending their civic engagement in other ways too, in the community?
yeah, yeah.
And we do supplemental program engagement as a program. So we try to, recently was Martin Luther King Day. In fact, I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know Suzanne did a project with her crew, and that's something that's encouraged by the corporation, that we do
terrific.
different projects in the community to make a presence as a group, and it adds to team cohesiveness
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
something. So we're going to be doing the Walk for Diabetes.
Okay.
As a group.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're running out of time right now, but perhaps with one last message to the community with regards to contact information.
good.
What would be the best phone number to reach people at?
For the senior companion, it would be 832-0340.
One more time.
832-0340.
And the other program
Foster grandparent program?
Foster grandparent program
is
832-5169.
again.
832-5169.
Okay. And now for the community out there, listeners, viewers, one last tip that you would leave them with. What would that be?
I would say for healthy aging, and the whole mission is to keep people engaged and committed to their communities, and activity makes all the difference in your own wellness. So please give us a call, and we'd love to tell you more about the program.
You know, this is more than just a volunteer opportunity. You're going to grow in so many ways through our training, through our monthly training, to interacting with the other volunteers, through the service that you provide in the schools with the students. Your mind is going to be stimulated,
So,
and that leads to good health overall.
yeah, this is better than medicine.
Yes.
Right.
It is.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank
so this is all the time that we have for Kupuna Connections television program. I'm Cullen Hayashida with the St. Francis Healthcare System of Hawaii. Aloha.